Hi, welcome to your EECS 183 lab section this week. My name is Joe, I'm your IA. I'm a freshman here at the university majoring in computer science. And today we're going to talk about arrays. Now an array, just to give you some idea, it's like a whole block in memory of a bunch of variables of the same type under one name, all sitting in the same place. So it's really going to be convenient, I hope you'll see. Now imagine that you're a teacher and you want to put grades in for your class for a test they just took, so you can compute their grades at the end of the semester. So if you had 5 kids, it would look something like this. You would say score 1, and then the score 2, and then his score, and so on. Now in memory, this looks something like this. You have your first score, 95, second score in a whole other place, 87, and so on. But now, instead of teaching 5 kids, imagine that you teach 100. Or imagine you teach EECS 183 and you teach 1,000 kids. To do this, you'd have to add 995 more lines of code. That's impractical and inefficient. You're not going to want to do it. Now remember what I was saying before of having a bunch of variables in the same place under one name. So instead of this, we get something like this. This is what an array looks like in your memory. You have each value with its own cubby, its own place, and you can refer to each one by a number called their index. And the first index is going to be at 0, because computers like starting with 0, and your last one is going to be 1 less than the number you have, for a total of 5. Now to declare this, it's just like any other variable. You start with a type, int, you give it a name, scores, except now, because it's this special thing called an array, you have to tell the computer how big you want it to be. And that's where these square brackets and the number 5 come in. And you can do this with any kind of variable, Boolean, string, char, you name it. It's just type, name, and then size. Notice that size is in all caps. That's because it has to be a constant. When you're using a literal number, that's fine. But when you're using a variable, you'll need to watch out. Now go back to our example where you're teaching EECS 183, and you have 1,000 kids. To do that with your array, it's as easy as this. You just added 995 more spots for scores onto the end of here, right? And if you want the first one, like I said, you just call it by the name of the array, use the square brackets, and then put the index number. Scores at 0. Now, as you can see, or I hope you can see, this is really useful. But when you want to initialize it, it can be easy or hard too. The first way is called manually initializing it. So you're going to declare the array, just as before, and then you're going to go element by element, calling each one of them by their index and giving them a score. Now you'll notice that this looks a lot like what we did over here. So, as you can probably tell, it's not very efficient. For 5, 10 elements, maybe it's okay. I wouldn't recommend it. If you're trying to do this, the next strategy is even better and gives you the same result. You can initialize it by a list. So same declaration, type, name, size, and then you're going to set it equal to this list of all the elements you want in the order that you want them. This and this are functionally equivalent. If you execute this or execute this in your compiler, and then you call scores at 0, regardless, you're going to get 95. Or say maybe that you wanted to initialize all the elements to the value of 0. Well, that's really easy. You just say type, name, size, and then set it equal to this empty list. And that's going to set all of your cubbies to have 0 in them. But there's an even better way to do this, and it's my personal favorite. You can do it using the for loop. Now, just like we've been doing, you say for into I equals 0, because that's your first index, I less than 5, that way it'll give you from 0 to 4, because if you hit 5, you'll get an error, because there is no scores of 5. It ends at 4. And then you increment and say you pull in a value from a spreadsheet that you have, and then you set it to scores at your index I. Now, like before, imagine instead of 5, you had 1,000 kids. Bam. just as good. Now, I hope this has given you just a little bit of insight as to why this array thing is going to be really useful in your life. And again, an array, it's just a set of cubbies in memory of a bunch of variables of the same type stored under one name by their indices. Thank you.